Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. As usual, as soon as we start this program, you could determine whether you want to bat or whether you want to bowl. Pick up the telephone. Give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything. Politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, whether you want to speak about Ukraine, Trump, or Biden, or whether you want to come right back to the politics in Grenada. You can select the topic you want to speak about. You can introduce a topic. You can recommend a topic. You know, in our democratic process, some people believe that they don't have an opportunity to express themselves. So you could use our program. Later this afternoon, about 6:37 up to about 9 o'clock, RealFM will be in front Trippy's Minimat in Moya, right opposite Blogger Hollow Bar. And you'll have Anything Goes. Another opportunity for you to express themselves. And you know it will be on YouTube and perhaps Facebook. And you would be hearing it on the line. So you can come in and you want to sing a song, it's a good opportunity. Some people don't have an opportunity for them to hear their voice or their talents. You have a joke, you want to comment, you want questions, or you want to express yourself. We provide that opportunity for you in Trippy's Minimat, in front Trippy's Minimat, in Moya, right in front Blogger Hollow Bar. So the neighboring communities and village and anybody who is interested can come in front Trippy's Minimat this afternoon and participate in the program. Anything Goes. We're on RealFM 91.9. We're on YouTube and Facebook. And you have the telephone in your hand so you can give us a call. A couple of days ago, we entered the topic of children in school, children leaving school, young people. We must remember that the United Nations consider youth as between 14 and 25. So based upon the United Nations, 14 and 25. Most governments see youth up to 35 years. I think the trade union will consider the youth arm as up to 35 years. The people involved in the Imani program, I think they extended it up to 39. So a lot depends on your own situation and your socioeconomic realities. Sometimes where you find high unemployment, and that unemployment is principally among young people, then that could be a serious challenge in our society. And some government policies, and I always stress the issue of policy, because it is important from henceforth that you know what is the policy of the political party you back. You may be supporting a political party that does not seek your interests. When you're supporting a candidate for election, you must ask them questions. Know what they stand for. Know if that candidate you stand for believe in group marriage. In the United States and other countries, a group of all could marry them. 3 men, 2 women could marry them. Who you hold, you take. Who you take, you hold. 4 of you, 5, 9 of you living in a group. These people, as the secular world comes on stream and dominate, you find all sort of concussion of behaviors. You must know if the person you're supporting believes in the death penalty, capital punishment. You must know if they believe in Christianity, or whether if they get a chance they're going to ban churches. You must know what they stand for. You must know if they believe that a man must have 5 wives. Because it makes no sense that you fundamentally against something, but you're supporting political parties that will definitely implement that policy. And this world is moving in a direction that a lot of people is not cognizant of. Countries are passing laws that your child could come home, your male child could come home and tell you, I want to be a girl. And you, the parents, will be interfering in the child's right to change the gender at the sporting moment. You must know these things. You must know there are leaders that are homosexuals. And they don't want to keep the practice for themselves. They want to spread it. So just now you might have gay marriage in Grenada or Barbados or something and legalize it. You must know that some European countries are also encouraging countries to pass law for LGBTQ plus Y. Because every day they add in another number. You must know that. It makes no sense that we're burying our head like ostrich. These issues are going on in other countries, and we don't know. You must have an idea about Sharia law. There are some countries, particularly Islamic countries, where they propagate Sharia law. So women in Afghanistan today, some of them heart is saddened because they can't go to school. They have to tie up all their eyes. Can't show the face outside. Some of them cannot. The laws, the government is making laws that would prevent them from getting an education. You must know these things. Often in my program, I encourage you to Google the boys of Afghanistan. I say that to give people an idea how much orphans used to struggle in yesteryear. Orphans and widows. And all widows in Grenada, not in so much trouble. Or orphans might be. Or elderly people. Low-income elderly people. Some people advocate that people should live their lives with dignity. The Mother Teresa order in the Catholic Church, they do a lot of work with elderly, destitute, and street people, trying to encourage them, trying to create the environment so that they could live their life with dignity. You have government policies that does not support some of the social programs that provide for elderly people of low income. You have to lobby them, you have to force them. It is not natural for them to support these people. They chastise them and they blame them for the situation they're in. You see, some of these people have no experience with yesteryear. They have no experience when people did not even have an enclosed fireside. So when rain coming was a real challenge for them to cook food to eat when rain coming. I've heard the stories of Tilita, where she light a fire outside. The children is crying. And she tell them, wait, the rain coming. But they crying still. So she want to flog them. And her 2 eldest children say, we're going to hold the galvanized over the fire so you could cook. So she had 2 children in the rain, covering the fire so she could cook something for the smaller children. We have no time today to listen to the elderly. There are no avenues for them to tell their stories. And even though they tell it, it doesn't interest us. But if we don't know that, we could make mistakes and take decisions that cause some of us to seriously lose our income. So we must know that. People used to walk miles to go to the town to purchase things, barefooted. They had jigger, crab. At times perhaps they bathing twice a week or once a week. And if he's a nasty person, perhaps once a month. We must know the struggles of our family. A lot of people work on the farms and the estate. Agriculture and fishing was the main economy in the world. Agriculture and fishing. So the majority of people was working very hard. There's no pension scheme for them. When they can't work again, they go home and die. And by the time you're 40, 50 years, you're old people. Our children of today seems to forget our history. And they seem to be desensitized to the elderly, the less fortunate in our country. I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. Our young children, 16, 17, 18 years, some of them, sometimes you look at them and they're acting as 5 and 8-year-old. You have individuals 28, 30 years that do not have a serious skill. Difficult for them to fill up a farm. Struggling to do basic calculations. It ought not to be, because our forefathers work hard to ensure that we have enough schools in our society today. Churches participate in building schools. So our people should be better. They should be wiser. They should be more skilled. They should be more talented. They should exhibit more compassion and love for the elderly ones, to encourage them to live with dignity and to avoid the destitute poor in our country. Some people don't know that. And it's easy, you know. You live in a community and you jump your vehicle and you go to the town and work, and you do that for 10, 15 years. You don't know the people in your community anymore. Although you live in a community, your friends, your social life, the community is not involved. You have people next door that is not working and have children. And sometimes your heart goes out to those who fall in that group. Women with children. It's so easy for a woman to have children and do a man. Sometimes, because of the lack of communication, or perhaps too much strong communication, she loses she man since she's pregnant. Sometimes the man not certain if that which she is making is his, and he abandon her. And by the time he abandon her, some other men come in to fill in this space. So she is left with children, but no steady man. And if she can't work, how is she going to give that child milk? You think it's easy for children to cry and the mother don't have the means to buy milk or basic food for them? She can't even leave them and go because the society going to cry her down and say she abandoned them. And then you always find some nice, compassionate men who would help her. But they would help her for ulterior motives, not for the child. They would help her because Mother Nature would call. And then she have a second or a third child. So these things to me is important. Because when we have leaders, whether it's civic leaders or political leaders or church leaders, that is prepared to blame people for being poor, chastise them for being poor, and punish them for being poor, I believe our society is heading in the wrong direction. You cannot have a society where those who is successful believe that they don't have a responsibility to help those who are not economically successful. And that's the success we're talking about, economics. Because you have to have money to buy clothes and food and provide shelter. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good day.
Yes, caller.
I understand that you say the division will start. I didn't know you, but I actually was on the ground that it should start next year. So that country come to people have to be begging for the work. That shouldn't be so. That should be on the ground from since day one. Just giving people this little side hustle and things. They just a side hustle. Every time they get that $400, that eat up in the economy fast because you see inflation, you see cost of everything go up, sugar, everything go up by double, and a matter of fact, it only go up a double. So the money is going to be paid the fortnight pay. Why you could have buy it for? You have to buy half the amount that you know, and people have to beg for that. That's a shame, man. That's just never happen. People should begging the government to get the work. You have to help the less fortunate. Create a little employment for them. It's not a small hustle, that's a weak thing. It's not to say we them every year. They already criticize it before, but people need this thing. They need tough economic time now. They need it. So if that happens, if they give them that for them, give me people that they people just obviously begging the ground for it. They need to work for themselves. I know people come and give them a work and they're working for almost $5,000 a fortnight. And they never that they work before making it poor. And people give them a work. But give the people back out a little work cost now. So they give a work, the money get big, but it's talking about the people on the ground. Shame on them.
Yes, scholar, and this is so important what you say. But that have to do with the policy of the government. It's not right or wrong. Some government, some individuals in Grenada are not sensitive to the cries of the ordinary man. They believe that they succeed and everybody should succeed. They believe that I am in an economic position and you want to live on me. They believe that I am in government, so it's my time now. My time now. You have to remember that the previous government was chastised mercilessly for the social program that we have. They was condemned for giving people money. They said they're giving people money. It's a handout. They say they're making Grenadians lazy. The government introduced 10,000 toilets. It was seriously criticized. So today, the government, present government, doesn't seize it as part of the necessary policy to provide for low-income people. In fact, some of the hardline supporters, they say, let her go and pound stone in the river. They say they're drinking rum. They say them is needy and greedy. They say it's handout you giving them. You hear all sort of derogative names and aspersion cast against the people in the lower income group. So we have to recognize as a people that is not natural. It is not part of the government policy to provide for the people in the lower income group. The government sees the main objective is the higher echelons of society. So they increase the pay. They fly in countries as if it's a joke. They're very extravagant. They squander the Grenadian money because it's their time come now. And they're traveling. I heard that the Prime Minister go away for 2 weeks. I don't know if he went to Russia, South Africa, or if he went in China. Because as a Prime Minister, even if he went to these 3 states or these 3 countries, he should not have to stay 2 weeks outside. I understand the Prime Minister have a rented flat or structure in Barbados. So he's more in Barbados than in Grenada. The Prime Minister refused to live in the government quarters. He has his own rented quarter here that government pays. I ask you to research the last time the butcher of the Congo. You just have to go on Google, the butcher of the Congo, and see the lifestyle he used to live at the expense of people. The Grenada Prime Minister, perhaps, is the most extravagant Prime Minister I've heard about in the Caribbean. Most of them live more conservative lives. But he's a showman. In fact, in the first 100 days, the Prime Minister's biggest challenge was taking pictures. I understand now he walks around with his cameraman. I saw some pictures that it looked like him. It looked like him playing with a man's neck, or that which ties around a man's neck. I've never seen that before. When the Prime Minister comes back after 2 weeks and the public was not informed where he was going and what he doing out of the country after 2 weeks, instead of the ministers chastising him, they went to greet him on the airport. This is what we have. And don't ever believe that they have any remorse or they are guilty, or any remorse or they feel guilty. I believe they are vultures. And perhaps the worst group of vultures that passed in Grenada for the last 100 years. The worst group of vultures. Because they prepare to scavenge on the elderly, the physically challenged. Even disadvantaged people are not spared the parasitic effort of the government. It amazes me how so much of the moderate NDC, who is around this group of neophytes, cannot counsel them that what they're doing is not correct. You have to be saddened in your heart. As if we're turning back the hand of the clock. They are setting a template far, far lower than the previous government. And that is what is dangerous. This government is setting a template. They're establishing a precedent far lower than any government in the last 40, 50 years in Grenada. They are extremely insensitive. They are extremely insensitive. They are extremely insensitive against people of the lower income group. Extremely insensitive. No government should be like that. Not in Grenada. But what is even sad and more dangerous is the level of tolerance for these group of vultures. I only see them as vultures. Why do I say they are vultures? As far as I know, almost all of them were educated with taxpayers' money. They went to government school, went to college, went to university with taxpayers' money. As far as I know, all of them parents will come from the low income group. All of them, their parents come from the low income group. And they was educated with taxpayers' money. So how could you not remember that? How could you not remember that? How could you ignore? How could you ignore the plight of the less fortunate in our country? How could you just stand, face people, and then tell lies to them? You have a group of people that told lies to the Imani. Imani was about 300 people. You told lies to the elderly. You told lies to the physically challenged. You deceived them. You tricked them. You wooed them to support you. And immediately, on assuming office, you turn against this group. I have never heard that throughout the whole Caribbean. In my research throughout the Caribbean, this is the worst group of politicians I have come across. And they seem to forget that all politicians in the world always give the impression that they represent the majority of people in the country. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, all politicians, they say we seek in the revolution, in the socialist countries, the proletariats. They chastise the petty bourgeoisie for living off the proletariats, the workers in the country. Even the trade union in Grenada seems to be turning against people in the lower income group. You don't have to believe me. You just have to listen to the president of the teachers union outburst on May Day. He was practically calling for the head of workers. And he decided he cannot show solidarity with workers who claim they were affected. And even the Public Workers Union is only a half-hearted attempt they are making to defend those workers. They don't really want to defend those workers. 1 year now, they claim they cannot have a meeting with the permanent secretary. Any genuine union that wanted to have a meeting with that permanent secretary, and they realize that permanent secretary is purposely avoiding them, they would bypass the permanent secretary and take the next stage to the Minister of Labor. So when a trade union leader is not doing that, they fake. They're only pretending. They don't genuinely want to help the people in the lower income group. When our society becomes so insensitive and desensitized, it will resort to violence. It will resort to social decadence. Because people realize that the machinery set up to settle dispute is not working. And they are taken advantage of. Go back and study all the social struggles in the world. We have enough evidence of the past. You have a government that comes in and they are attacking the people in the lower income group. During the revolution, you hear a lot about the proletariats and petty bourgeois and the bourgeoisie. We are a little bit more palatable now. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yeah, good afternoon. Mr.
Yes,
How are you? Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Yeah. I just you were just making mention earlier about the trade union movement, the half-hearted posturing in the defense of workers, and I just couldn't agree with you more, because it was my sentiments. I've been, meditating on this, and I came to the same conclusion, because I say in the days of the NMP, they were very vocal, they were very militant, the government couldn't slip or slide with these people, and I find this, anything government, I just find the patience and the so-called understanding and seeing from the government, and UGBN put a mic in front of them, they say something to appease people and pretend that, I read right through these people, and I just wanted to say I couldn't agree with you more, sir, on what you just said there. So thank you very much.
Yes, scholar, earlier I said the trade union, I guess because a number of people was speaking about the trade union made a half-hearted attempt. These people fall in the trade union bargaining unit. But some of these trade union think they are in a class. You see, they believe the mentality put them in a different social class. So the Public Workers Union have representation of people in the lowest income in Grenada falls in the bargaining unit. But those in the higher echelons believe they're in a different social class from those in the lower income. It is being done twice. That is being done twice. Now, if the trade union want a meeting with the permanent secretary, and the permanent secretary, what happened if the permanent secretary dead? What happened if the permanent secretary dead? Are the permanent secretary going on holiday? Are they going on scholarship? The trade union bypass the permanent secretary and go to the Ministry of Labor. It cannot work. We're not having a meeting. Let's take the matter to the Minister of Labor. So the trade union is a joke. They're just pretending. And these people, you hear the Prime Minister say, tell them take it to court. If a man working for $700-800 and you fire him, which lawyer in Grenada are taking his case? Which lawyer in Grenada is going to take his case? He can't pay them. The people that are fired, they was making about $1,000 or less. Which lawyer are taking their case? And this nonsense about the permanent secretary to come in, this is nonsense. This is a bag of diatribe. The matter reached to the Ministry of Labor. The Ministry of Labor cannot solve it. The next stage is the Minister of Labor. The unions went on strike action without taking the matter to labor. When they was negotiating with government, the government was claiming that the negotiation didn't break down. even the bishop and all, advised them to go back on the table. They took strike action. They refused to go to labor. Now the same union giving the impression. That is why slavery lasts long. Our own people chaff us. What going on there now is our own people, not the white man, not the European, not Americans or Chinese. Our own children that is chaffing us. I spoke about NIS. NIS is chaffing their own people. Cocoa Association, your own people. They went to university. You know what is sad? Taxpayers' money that educate them. They was educated with taxpayers' money. Pope John Paul said governments in the developing countries, he appealed to them. You cannot invest in tertiary education at the expense of primary and secondary education. Let me repeat that. He didn't say don't invest in, but not at the expense of primary and secondary education. Some of our individuals in Grenada, when they come down here and they have a master's degree or a bachelor's degree, they stop identifying with the villages. They stop identifying with the communities. Some of them that you go to school with and you sat on the same bench with, they would say, all you doing the same way still, boy? And when you call them, they stop identifying with you. Number 10 sat on the same bench with John Gall, Kepney's cousin. The same individual she took back the land from. 2 years. 2 years. This individual working between the inland revenue, between lands and survey. 2 years before they direct her to number 10. 2 years. She says sometimes she had to wait 2 months to get bus money to go back. She paid for the surveying of the land. She was paying for the land. They took the land from her. The last letter they wrote to rescind, I think that's a good word, take back, was in August. She paid for the land in the 6th of September. But she wasn't living in Maribo again. So maybe they send it to the area. So she get the letter that they sent to her to take back the land. I don't think they was use this nice word like take back. They like to say rescind the decision. Sophisticated language. But number 10 have a master's degree. And the little sister, John Galt, kept Miss cousin. She only have she bought paper. We trick our people. Dennis Cornwall, Comrade Dennis Cornwall, have a master's degree. But the lady with the white cane, I guess she bought paper. That is the challenge we have in our country. These are the people that's supposed to help the community. You don't have to believe me, Go in your community and see who are in the groups in your community. When you hear Salaka in La Poterie, or River Sally, or Don Famina da Salaka recently, Laurel spearheaded, Don Family in Salaka. I go there, I drink around. It was good. and Paul Salaka and Telescope Salaka. Go and see who are involved in it. The most generous, hardworking, charitable people in the country come from the lower echelons of society. The lower income group. They are the one that is most generous. They are the ones that reach out to the people that lose the $150. They are the ones that still go in and give them food. Not for pay, you know. While the government is denying them the money and using it to enrich themselves. Now, if they are not vultures, then tell me what they mean by vultures. The 9 individuals who make up the government now, I think they are vultures. And I don't think that is right. I think it's immoral. It's wrong. The past Prime Minister, a man who went to prison, he was a human rights lawyer. He claimed it is rebalancing. So he gave it justification. He said nothing wrong with that, man. That just rebalancing. I don't know what went off balance in 2008, 2013. At that time, the government was not able to pay claims in the treasury up to $110 million. At that time, the government was selling assets to meet current expenditure. They sold assets that did not belong to them. They sold assets that legally they couldn't sell it. They still sell it. At that time, the government behaved like coke addicts. What is it that they're rebalancing now? What is it that they're rebalancing? Are they walking away from the program where the less fortunate were given toilets to prevent them from becoming destitute and they could live the rest of their life in dignity? The sister with the white cane, the one asked Comrade Cornwall to go and visit and find out. I cannot appeal to the man that letting people play with wrong neck again because he may not consider as a good person. But I still have hope. I still have hope in Comrade Dennis Cornwall. You know, in yesterday they say, old man, I still have hope in you. I still have hope in you, old man, that sometime you're going to do something good. And you're going to visit the lady with the white cane, old man. Yes, I still have hope in the brother. You know, we cannot treat our elderly or sick. I have asked that the government give back these people their $150 and pay them the retroactive pay. Otherwise, advance economic reasons why you shouldn't. If the government is unable to advance economic and moral reasons, why you remove $150 from the proletariats, if you like the socialist word, from the low-income group, from people who borders on the rim of destitute? What is the justification? These are the very people you promised to increase their money in 2008. You say you will make it 400. In 2008, you use one of the elderly. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre?
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Good afternoon. Good
Yeah,
afternoon.
my brother.
I asking for
to give back the poor and destitute.
Give them back their money and pay them retroactive pay. Or the government should give us economic reasons and moral justification why they shouldn't. So I'm not saying just give them back. I'm not saying they should just give them.
Mr. Pierre,
Go ahead.
let me tell you something, my brother. The taxpayers of this country, they don't know nobody, nothing, my brother. The taxpayers of this country owe nobody nothing. The taxpayers of this country pay to get things done. Who want to, right now, are who working, if they don't want to save their money, the China insurance or anything, when they reach in the next 20 years, some of them will go for on this case. So I will advise them right now, when they're working, save their money, do something positive with their money, instead of waiting on money from government when they're 60. That is the worst thing to happen to people. When you're teaching them to only depend on government, you know what happens? All they go do right now, all they do is they spend their money, they gamble, they do all kind of things with it. And when they reach the age of 60, they come here and depend on government.
So you want them to starve?
I don't want them to starve.
What you suggest we do with them now?
What you suggest to encourage the people of this country?
Well, those that we're speaking about are the elderly. They can't walk again.
Well,
the physically challenged and disadvantaged children.
Encourage them to save their money. So when they get old, they have something to go by. Instead of encouraging them to spend their money, and when they're 80, when they're 60, 70, they broke. They have to depend on government. That is the pattern you have to, that's why you have to put to the people. Don't encourage them to wait on government for money. Like back on, they're making villagers more stupid.
Caller.
I think a child here you saying that.
Caller.
She's growing up, she not saving nothing.
Caller.
She spend all she money.
Caller.
When she see the government go help her.
Caller.
So what happen?
Caller.
Every villager go having that in their mind. Wait on government to help them. You go up now, you work for money, spend all, gamble, do all you want to do. When you're 60, government go give you hand out. That's why they're preaching, that's why they tell the whole nation. If people are sensible and try to help themselves, save something for when they get old, they end up just as how the poor and destitute end up. If they're poor and destitute to do that, they would have been better off. But instead, you encourage them to not to do it. So I pray you have a good day.
Yes, and that is the views of the National Democratic Congress. I have spoken to a lot of members of the Congress, and that is what they say. That is their view. As far as they're concerned, they owe these people nothing. They don't have to give them nothing. They say this is our time now for us to get our money. That is why I believe number 10, drum fence with drama, because they was able to provide a nice, attractive law. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Yes, Mrs. Welcome.
Mr. Pierre, that man that saved all his money throughout his life while he living, I want him to go out and distribute what he have to the poor.
No, you wouldn't do that. He said no.
Yes.
No, you wouldn't distribute him.
Because you don't hear how that man coming out?
But you see, a lot of members of the NDCs like that.
That man have sense?
No, caller. A lot of members of the NDC, when you speak to them, that is what they're saying.
I wonder if in him.
No, caller. A lot of members of the NDC, that is their view.
You know, in days gone by, on the 1st of April, they used to write paper and give people to go and drop there everywhere, which they say All Fools Day.
Yeah.
Well, that one double it. I don't know what they write him and give him to go about or to come on the radio to talk about.
Yeah.
But he can even educate himself. Nobody don't getting nothing from that man because he's foolish.
Yes, caller.
Foolish.
Yeah.
He illiterate.
No.
He uneducated.
Well, you see, you have to.
Nonsense.
Caller, You have to listen to his views.
Listen what?
Yes, it's important. Because
Mr.
you
Pierre.
see, caller, he is speaking, but the majority of NDC leaders are saying the same thing.
Mr. Pierre.
Caller, the ministers of them are feeling the same way. They're
Mr.
just
Pierre,
covering it.
if you go in and junk yourself, I go and junk myself too.
Yes, but you must know. Next thing,
So
I put
listen
some.
stupidness.
All right, okay. Thank
Listen
you.
nonsense.
All right, thank you.
Tell him come better.
Thank you.
We tired of him.
Thank you. And I think that is the challenge we have in Grenada. We have to. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. You go right ahead, caller. We have you on now.
Yeah, caller.
Yeah.
Mr. Pierre, that
Yeah.
caller that called before the lady. This guy, I listen to all programs all over Grenada. And what this guy carries on with, he clearly doesn't listen and he just chooses to be ignorant.
Caller,
and
you
go on
don't
honor sober in
believe
Grenada.
you don't believe a lot of the NDC believe what is in there. I have been in
No, I don't.
discussion with a lot of NDC individuals, and that is a similar view. They don't
Yeah.
care about the people in the lower income group. They don't care.
But Mr. Pierre, this administration send home people for no reason at all.
Well,
so
they
you
don't care.
telling me where they getting the money when you send them home? And he say much save your money for when you're old and all kind of thing like that. So don't build your house.
Well,
Don't
that's
pay rent.
one
That
way.
what you trying to say?
In his way, he put it that way. But those ministers is practically saying the same thing by their action. Look at they go in GDP and take the money that's supposed to go for the same people in the lower income group.
Mr. Pierre, if these people continue with this nonsense they're carrying on with, I would like to see Grenada in the next 4 years.
No,
These people, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, tone down your people. Tone down your people.
But-
Because what they
but
carrying on
caller,
with? This is not
caller.
normal. Isn't it?
But caller, remember what went on in 2008 to 2013. The government was not
Mr.
able
Pierre.
to pay the bills, and the economy was in free fall. You
Mr.
expect
Pierre,
it to be
right now,
different?
this thing is about 10 times worse than 2008. Isn't it? This is
Me-
worse than 2008. 10 times worse.
Mr. Tillman said I rebalancing.
Well, I mean, come on. We not in North Korea. The Prime Minister go for 12 days. He come back. All of them on the airport, hugging the man and kissing like some kind of. What is this?
You don't see
What
the
nonsense
play.
is this?
You don't see the play with that man around the neck, all kind of thing.
What? Mr.
So
Pierre,
what-
have a good afternoon, man. No.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. You don't see the man blushing while man playing on the neck. You see? But you see, we have to always be cognizant of the policy of the government. And some of the policies of the government, you will hear it display in the utterances of the main players. Yes, caller, welcome.
The last caller, he sounds like an able-bodied man. Why don't he go get a job?
He has a job, so it's not a question of, and that's the challenge that we have. You see, we have to have the discussion, and you must listen to people who have different views than you, different views, because they might be articulating the policies of the NDC. The NDC always have a hostile policy towards people of the lower income group. People have been making a lot of noise, and you're going to see they give a little debushing work. But they do not see the debushing work as a means of a social program to help unemployed people. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr.
Yes,
Pierre.
my brother, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, something I want to know from you. The money, what is demand tracking this? Where that money coming from? Who NDC money? Where that money coming from?
That's government money, government money.
Huh? Government money?
Yeah.
Where now?
So where you think NDC traveling with their money?
Let me tell you something. All over the world, that money, they giving money for people that can help themselves.
Well, they don't want Grenadians to get it. I don't know when we will come to the reality that is a group of vultures that we have. We're afraid to identify them as vultures. They are vultures.
But the caller what talking about their money. You don't even know nothing about him, where that money coming from to give the people.
Yeah, because the color is reflecting the policy of the NDC. I glad I speaking to this gentleman.
Well, yes.
Because I've spoken to a lot of NDC supporters. And that's their view too, you know. They put it differently.
Well, they're making the Mr. More dance for himself. That man is a real Morocco.
But it's not about the mister. You see color.
Ah.
NDC won the election because Grenada believed that the policy they have was good, you know. So it's about policies.
Yes, I heard all what you're saying. But that man is a real Morocco.
Yes, we go after individuals. We have to stop go after individuals
but listen to me.
and look after the policy of the government.
But he coming after people?
Yeah, the government policy. These individuals are only articulating the government policies.
I don't like you, know. You real high your belly to keep that man on that program all the time.
Yes, and I will continue to keep him because color.
But a man spoiling your program.
Yes, I thank you. You see, I think that's one of the challenges we have. The government of Grenada has a policy that is hostile towards people in the lower income group. We are not blaming the government for it, but we're blaming individuals who articulate the government policy. The government of Grenada, the 9 members of the government, I see them as vultures that prey on the weak, the physically challenged, the elderly, disadvantaged children, and members of the Imani program. The government believe that this is our time now. So they travel in the world at the people's expense. When some people go home and they're struggling to take care of the kid because the government removed 150 from them, and I would really like Comrade Dennis Cornwall to investigate the case I give him. The case is in St. Patrick's. You just have to go in the post office or the rum shop. When you want to find out people in a community, you go to the post office or the rum shop. And once you do that, you're going to get the lady with the white cane. And you could walk up with a braille machine for her. And she's going to tell you what she used to do with the 450. Yes, and we reached to the end of our program. Today is the last day for the week. We're back with you again next week for another program on Target. But remember, this evening, anything goes in Trippy's Minimat, right in front, Blogger Hollow Bar in Moya. Thank you very much. And we're back to the cricket. And we're back to West Indies and India.